Where's the music? Here's 20 minutes more-ish. Hello and welcome to 20 minutes more-ish. We're going to chat for about 20 minutes or so. We're sat here post-show. It's the 5th of February, which is the show we've just done. But we'll be releasing this a week afterwards. How do we find the show, guys? Do we enjoy ourselves?
Loved it. Yeah. Loved it. The fact that it's the 5th of February is really depressing. I'm 51 in 23 days. I'm 50. How did that happen? Yes, I know, Phoebe. I know. I know. It's fine. I understand. But yeah, the show was brilliant. I enjoyed every minute of it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was a really good crack on it. You guys did really, really well. You were very prepared and organised, which is what we like to see. Well done. Thanks.
But I was about to watch episode 5 of Bridgerton, so
you're so middle class.
Have you seen episode 5? It's the
I have, yes.
Yeah, I know you're pretending.
Oh, that's the one, isn't it? That's the one that changes everything. I am just looking forward to what goes on that green screen when he's finished. What is he going to do with that green screen?
Oh, it's so I perform. I've embraced the online performing life, and so I'm a somewhat large guy, and so I need large features. I don't know if you saw earlier. I was actually in front of my black screen, and so I have on different sides of the room. My green screen is primary where I kind of do all my sit down stuff. My black screen is where I do my stand up and I stand up. And
during none of what you're saying, are we worried about that at all? What bit of you is large?
All of you.
You're a large guy. We're just like, yeah, go on in, prove it.
Oh yeah, I know, right? I don't know. Look me up. I guess I'm not really sure I can do the scale. There's a bottle of water. There's my hand. I don't know if that helps or what.
You've got a small head.
There's hands hold a bottle of water. I don't know.
That's a freakishly large hand. I don't
know. It is.
Yeah, that's.
All right. Here's a tablet. If you compare my head and then you take my hand, and so my hand, and this is.
That's a mini tablet. It's a mini.
No, it's not. Yeah. No, it's not. Here you go. You ready for this?
It's an iPhone.
So here, I don't know if you guys use a standard notebook, right? Does that make sense?
Bro, that's mad.
Right, okay.
Yeah. So
there's a plug here is my face.
Me and Phoebe just holding up little things next to us, just I'm so huge. This is a tablet too, man. This is a tablet too.
Right? You know, it's so funny being every once in a while, because I don't do the driving thing anymore as far as picking people up. I do deliveries, and so I actually do use my tablet, and it's weird because the size thing, it becomes evident when somebody goes, "Oh my God, is that a big phone or not?" And then as I show it to them, it's like as I get closer, I get bigger as I get closer. And so they're like, "Oh God, oh, it's a tablet." I was like, "Yeah, it just looks like that in my head."
So do they get worried when you get out of your Prius and it's like you're trying to squeeze yourself out of this Prius?
Why am I imagining Mr. Incredible in that scene?
Oh God, right?
It's like a clown car.
Slams the door and slams all the other cars as well. He breaks their windows as well as his. Yeah. Yeah, this is fun though. Now I've really embraced the online performing aspect of comedy. It's so weird. I think we're in February, so we're approaching close to a year of the whole lockdown and everything. And so each month I have become more and more okay with this lifestyle of performing because I'm 8 years in. And so for me, this was a shock. I'm talking about 8 years, no breaks. The most break I've taken was I think I might have did 2 weeks one time. Literally 2 weeks of no on stage show, open mic, whatever. And then to all of a sudden just cold turkey, it's gone. I was on a tour when everything kind of came to a standstill. And I think my very last show, I was looking at my memories, was March 15th of 2020. And so I was there as everything just kind of came down. I was on the road. and we're looking at all the different cities that we're supposed to go to, and one by one they just close down after another. And a lot of those theaters have never, like, they're not coming back. And so I had to kind of come to the conclusion that, hey, you're probably going to be home for a lot longer than you expect. You need to make the most of it. And so I started getting the light apparatuses, background stuff. I got monitors, got a tablet, got a computer, started really leaning into it. And I feel like I'm okay right now, more than I've been in the last year, because going from in person, like I was listening to you, Phoebe, talk about in the little it sounded like you performed in a warehouse. I think you said warehouse.
Yeah, it was a TV studio in East London, but it was like this huge, just cavernous space where they built the stage with and then there were just two people with visors filming us. And we had to isolate in the green room at set. It was very, very bizarre, really, really strange.
So was there like anyone you were performing to at all? Like just the people with the cameras?
I still don't know if I bombed or not. Like,
see, that's rough. That's the part I didn't like. I did my first gig was like that with no laughter, and you're just performing and they're streaming it, and you're not getting any kind of feedback. I do a show now where I actually get audiences, and I say, hey, I need like at least 5 people to just sit here and be on the ready. And if it's funny, laugh, don't overdo it, and that helps the performance out so much. God bless you for being able to do that, because he was like, I don't know if I bombed or not.
That's really odd about performing on like television or the internet is, of course, if you're being recorded in a studio, you have an audience there, so you do have that immediate feedback. I just feel like my performance just got like sucked into some kind of void that like no answer, no response. It was really odd.
I literally I'd done 2 days ago. I'd done half a day filming with a BBC crew that come out to like film, and just basically how your life's changed. And it was like, because we had a comedy business, and how I've had to sort of like go, I need to make money elsewhere. And they come out and they said, right, okay, well, we'll take your story and we'll do it. And it was just like weird. It's just like, mate, you're spending the whole day with me. Don't wear a mask. Just, you can actually come close. They won't even come close to you. It's like, it's not the bubonic plague. If I've got it, you've got it already. Just come closer.
Right.
Be a normal human being. And that's the bit. This is the bit that's really, it's really getting to me, is the fact that we don't have that normal human contact where we have that sort of like, yes, I can talk to you face to face. I'd much rather be speaking to you guys sort of like that far away. And really getting into it. I'm like, okay, now you can feel my emotion, what I'm going through, what I'm thinking, and everything like that. And it's just insane that I spent like half a day with these guys and they went away, and I was like, actually, I've got no fucking idea what they got from that whatsoever, because I couldn't link up with them. I couldn't get that the emotion.
Well, it was like kind of like what Phoebe was saying. Like I was doing an interview earlier with a guy who's doing this like journalism course. He wants to like interview comedians and like how they've been affected by the pandemic. And we were talking about like knowing when to deliver a joke. You know what I mean? Like in a gig, you go into the room and you read the room and you go, these people will be all right with me saying this potentially sort of like un-PC thing, because they'll totally get what I'm going at with it. But if you do it online, like you were saying, like it's 6 weeks before you get your feedback. Like, you know what I mean? Like 3 weeks later, someone can like post on it and be like, I found that offensive. And you're like, I don't want that to happen. I don't want someone to see it out of context. I don't want someone to be scrolling through Facebook and suddenly like stop on me just telling the most offensive joke when they've missed the 3 minutes of me building up to the fact that I'm going to tell this really and so that's what I find a little bit disconcerting about the whole online Zoom thing.
It's just, I'm gutted we never got onto talking about the scientists teaching spinning.
We've got that. That's all ready to go. I've got a question on that. Yeah. Fear not.
I'm excited about that. Rich sending emails.
So as I said in the show, and it'll be a week later for everyone else now, but like 5th of February is the first 2020 was the first gig I ever did. Right,
that's crazy.
Isn't it?
Did you get a month, or how long did you get?
Literally, I was working it out today. I had a month and 10 days in which I managed to cram 15 gigs into that period.
Good. At least
yeah. Like the last week was just a weird week of like promoters going, I'm still doing a show, but everyone's dropped out. Do you want to come and do a gig? So it's like, yeah, and just like running off and doing gigs on the last week. But I was wondering, like, does anyone have any like memories from their like first gigs?
Yeah, and
how did it go, Mark? How was your first gig?
I remember my first gig because you think, comedians, we can say what we like, we can do what we like. Yeah, and it was just like weird. I'd done this gig down in basically just around the back of London Bridge in London, apparently. And like the guy got up and he said a joke about like a retarded frog, and the guy said, "Oh, you can't use the word retarded." So why not? He's talking about a retarded frog. It's not. It's just insane that you've got to be so careful about what you say and how you. Well, everyone can get offended these days.
Yeah.
And actually, I've gone the other way now. So right, fuck it. I'm just going to say what I want to say because you can't appease everyone. And I learned that, and that was my first week. That was my first week of going out gigging. The guy turned up and he said a joke about a retarded frog, and the guy said, "Well, you can't say the word retarded. You can't, mate. I'm talking about a frog. It's a fucking frog." And that's where it's got to. I don't know what it's like in the States at the moment, but we've got this thing now, right? This thing drives me mental, right? So this guy is like cancel culture. This guy, we've got a bin garbage man, a garbage man. Yeah, we've got a bin man, a garbage man, who's lost his job, lost his livelihood, because he kicked the head off a snowman. What? What are you? Are we that bad? I mean, I don't know how old you are, Phoebe. I don't know how old you are. I don't know how. I'm really ancient. Yeah, I grew up in the 70s.
Right.
It was a different time. Yeah, we weren't like that. Yeah. Someone kicked the head off my snowman. It was like, probably had it coming. But, you didn't lose any sleep about it, and you certainly didn't want the guy to lose his job and his pension and his life.
Yeah.
It's like. He kicked the head of a fucking snowman. It's insane. For me, it's really worrying because the older generation are really racist. And I think I'm moving into that generation. And I don't my language skills and stuff like that. I'm not great, but I say things, but I don't mean them. And
it's like that. It's like that Ramesh Ranganathan thing, though, isn't it? Where he was like. Look, like some guy grew up in a time when everything was different. Yeah. And like it was okay to say those things. Like now the old geezer's in his 70s. I'm not expecting him to change. Like I'll even throw in a little like head wobble for him. And it's a really good bit. Like definitely go and watch Ramesh's bit. But like I kind of get where you're coming from. I think we overreact. Like I'm not saying that we shouldn't condemn like racist acts, but like condemning someone as a pure thoroughbred racist for saying one stupid or unthought out thing is not helpful because you end up with like that person shutting down, don't you? Like I'm a teacher at a school and we had like this one kid said something really stupid and all the other kids were like chanting out like you're a racist. Like no, like talk to them, like explain why you were upset about that. Like use your words, like explain it, like actually converse with someone. What Phoebe, have you got any like memories of early gigs?
I will tell in a sec. There was this one thing that I found really interesting. There was this girl that was giving like a talk about. She's an American black girl, and she'd moved to Boston, and she'd been told by people, "Don't go to Boston; it's really, really racist." And she found the racism like so insidious there. It was like people would vote for a black mayor, but they wouldn't have a black family living next to them. So it was like this kind of appearance of being liberal and BLM. But then when you like dug a little beneath the surface, people were incredibly racist. And in response to that, she decided to proactively move to the South because she felt as though people were more upfront about racism. So if she wasn't welcome somewhere, people would tell her, and she kind of it was like she kind of went back into a segregated racist part of America rather than being in one that was secretly racist but appeared to be. So interesting. Yeah.
What's weird looking is it's just like, you Brits are really weird. Yeah.
No, y'all see it, Mark. Y'all see it the same way we do. And Vivi, I want to make sure you get back to your first story, but just to your point, I didn't know that exists everywhere and that everybody sees it. I thought it was one of those things that only some people saw it, but what she's explaining is microaggression. That's literally a microaggression at its quintessential core. So good on her, I guess. Pick what you want to do it. But I shut up now.
Very interesting. I was like,
it's a bold fucking move, isn't it? Like, look, the people down there, like their racism, like, at least they're honest about it. Like, they might mug me, but at least they're honest about it. So I'd rather be around them. Like, that's like, I mean, I don't do confrontation, so that's the last decision I would ever make. Like, but that is a bold fucking move.
Yeah. Something that interesting happened to me when I first stand up. I think I almost got trafficked.
Oh, shit.
Right, go.
I think I was like this close to getting sold into human slavery.
Okay.
And I was so naive about it. Like I was at this comedy club and the booker came up to me and he was just like, "Hey, do you want to come and like do a casino thing with me?" And I was like, "Wow, oh my God, I've been doing this for like 3 months. Paid gig, amazing." And then I remember, okay, right, oh yeah, get it. I look a bit Asian. You made that assumption. You're going to just herd me into the back of a van. It was really insulting.
Did you take the job?
Sorry?
Did you take the job?
No.
That is every comic. Every comic is like, so did you get the job?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was a good thing that you were early into comedy, right? Because later on, you'd be going, I can get a story out of this. Like, this is going to be a few months of therapy, and this is going to be a great bit of stand-up.
Absolutely. Look, I'm trying to hit you after this is over, being like, do you have this information? You know, like,
where is this casino? Courtney, have you got any good first gig in story?
Let's see, man. First gig story. I'll go off the first gig. The very first gig was all right, so it took me 2 years. I always try to tell people my origin story. It took me 2 years bona fide to do stand-up comedy. I had found out through the grapevine that I was somewhat funny. And so I started looking up. I'm at work on my PC, and I'm looking up open mics. I'm learning what an open mic is, and I'm like working up the nerve. I'm like, I'm saving little tabs to say, we're going to do this. Then another one's like, oh my God, we're really going to do this? ? And so I'm like really trying to work up the nerve and the courage to do it. And then finally, I'm like, you know what? Enough's enough. Let's go for it. I go up to the local club and I'm there. I'm breathing hard. I'm sweating. I go on a Friday night, y'all. I don't know if it works the same way for y'all as it does for us. Friday night's not an open mic night. That's a booked show night. So I walk in. I'm like, let's do this. All right. I'm here to do comedy. And I'm terrified. They're like, oh, sorry, honey. This is a show. You have to come back Monday. So I waited for 2 years. Then I get there, and now I have to put it off for a whole weekend. And so I had a weekend of like, I don't think I want to do this. I'm terrified. I can do this. I'm funny. I'm terrified. It's the worst, right? And so I go, and I remember signing up. You'd write your name on a list, and then they'd give you like a number, and that number was what order you're going up in. I get mine, and these guys, I guess, had traveled from out of town, and they're like, "Oh man, can somebody give us a number?" We traveled from, I think they said it took us like an hour to get here or something. And so one of them looks at me, and they got to remember, I've been waiting. And so they look at me and they go, can we get your number, man? It took us an hour to get here. I looked at them and said, it took me 2 years and a weekend to get here. No thank you. And I went and bombed. That story would have been great if I killed it. I was amazing.
Yeah.
I offered a casino gig. I told a story that had zero jokes. It was a funny story about my first wreck, but I didn't know how to set up a joke. I just thought it was funny because I had a wreck.
Yeah. To be honest, but it's actually my second gig was my funniest one, because I'd done my first gig and like an open mic thing, and I went down to see a guy who ran a great night in High Barnet, and I went down and he'd done a pro night, and I went down there just to speak to him and say, look, oh man, do you do open mics? Do you like put people through? And I just talking away to him, and he went, you know, there's been like a problem on the tube, and some of our like professional comics haven't been able to get here. Can you do 20 minutes?
Whoa!
I'd done 3 minutes in front of his family, and he just went, "Can you do 20 minutes? Can you stretch out 20 minutes?" I went, "Oh, go on then. I'll give it a go. And that was it. And I was hooked. I was absolutely hooked. And I was so out of it. And the guy who does it, he's basically partially sighted, and I was doing visual gags. And for some reason, I just turned and go, "Why am I doing visual gags to a blind man?" And he was just like really inappropriate. Just like, "Oh right, okay, well." And even then, he's had me back since then. He's just like, "Yeah, this is where you start." And the second gig, not the first gig, second gig was the one for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, man. No, I totally know what you're saying about the fear, though, Courtney. Like my first gig, I got on stage and I like looked out at the audience and just went, "No, you're scary," and just like looked down at their feet. Like, you watch it back now. Like I watched my other gigs. I don't look too bad because I'm quite a natural performer, but like I'm just looking at their shoes for the whole thing, right? And I watch back my other gigs now, and it's like, yeah, my chest is up. I'm like looking out at the audience. But that first gig, I'm more like, yeah.
You're in the sweet spot, my friend. That's the good thing. First year. Yeah, first year is one of the funnest ones because I like Mark said, I got hooked. I remember my first mic. Then the very next night, I did 2 nights. Like I did 2 mics because I found that there were 2 other spots. And then from then on, it was like every day was something regarding a comedy open mic. And then I started doing improv a short time after. And so I would bounce between stand-up and improv like night to night. And it kept me going. And honestly, y'all, this was during a very rough time in my life. I was going through a divorce. And so I had all this extra energy, time, and angst. And I was like, I have to do something with this productive. And so I remember comedy was my outlet. And it was so funny because people have asked, and I've even asked myself, why didn't I start earlier? And I was like, well, I didn't have anything to say. Like, I really don't feel like I would have been ready. I started relatively late. I was, about 25. And so I was 25 years old, and I felt like I had a hell of a lot more to say than I would have had at 22, 21, 19, 18, 17, you know? Like,
I definitely feel that, man, because like I'm 29 when I started. I'm 30 now.
Okay.
And my like having that bit more experience, like I think like if I'd have done it when I was 18 or 19, the first few gigs I would have bombed and it would have been terrible. But because I'd done it like with like I was ready to make the jokes, I knew how to make a joke, I knew what I was doing. My first gig, I actually got on stage and it went really well. And like, you know, I've never had like a terrible gig where no one's laughed. Mark, how old are you?
48.
That's what's up. Y'all are the first people I've met that have been older than me. Like, that's so cool.
48, yeah. And I've done the same thing as you. Yeah, I got divorced. I got divorced. Marriage fell apart. And I was like, right, okay, well, this is what I wanted to do. And I just done it. And that's it.
Mark, mind me asking a question real quick, Mark?
Yeah,
did you ever have the thought creep up on you, like while you were still married, that you wanted to try stand up ever, or did it just come after?
Yeah, no, it was always something. Right, so you're an Uber driver, so I'm actually a qualified London black taxi driver.
Nice.
Yeah, so I'm a London taxi driver. Yeah, I drove past, and I've got a joke about this that I do in my set. And I drove past a building which is in Regent's Park in London, and it has a sign outside, "Come learn stand-up comedy." I drove past that for 15 years.
Wow.
I never went in. Never went in.
There, though. It was there.
Do you know what I'm imagining, though? I'm imagining that scene in The Simpsons where Homer drives past the circus billboard.
Yeah.
And he's like making the circus.
I can tell you exactly where it is. It's the top of Prince Albert Road, right where Gloucester Gate meets. It's the corner there. Right. Okay, you can look at this on the map there. The Regent's Park is the northwest corner.
And you're speaking to an American as someone who's never spent more than 20 minutes.
But I'm learning though because these are going to probably come back in the future.
One day you'll be stood on the corner going, "Fucking hell, there's an open mic."
And it's got a sign outside, "Come learn stand-up comedy." And I drove past that for every day, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. I'd drive past it going, "I want to do that."
Yeah.
It literally took me to get divorced or for my wife to say that she didn't love me anymore, and I was a bit of a tosser. But it took me to that to go, actually, I'm going to go and do that. And I went there. I'd done the course. I learned. You learn the techniques and stuff like that, but you learn all the like open mic scene and stuff like that. But yeah, that's where I had to get to. Like as a 48-year-old, I was like, "Oh, actually, I love this," because the last time I'd been on stage, between 48, last time I'd been on stage, I would have been probably 10 and a half at the sort of like end of school play. That was the last time I'd been on stage. Not on stage on my own, on a mic, with a light shining at me and people going, "Make me laugh." It's completely different, but I absolutely fell in love with it. I love it. I love the good gigs. I love the shit gigs. It doesn't it literally doesn't make any difference. The buzz is still the same. It's like, that was shit.
Yeah. Well, we were saying before, weren't we? Just before everyone else was joining, we were saying like I even miss like sitting down at night after a gig and like lamenting on the way that I delivered a line. Like I should have put the inflection on that word, and I totally fucked it up, and the audience didn't get it. And like no one knows. I think that's one of the things. No one knows how critical you are of your own piece of comedy. I think the moment you're happy with a thing, it's dead. Like, and it will never work again. Like I've got some bits of material. I go, I'm so happy with this. And then I go on stage next time and it dies and it just deflates because I'm going, no, this is good. Like already, like it needs to be constantly. What can I add? What can I change?
The beauty in that moment, Simon. The beauty in that moment is now you have to remember what made you, 1, write that joke or that bit. 2, want to say that joke or bit on stage. And now this is where that growth comes to where you find a way to make it funny again. I always talk about when you're writing a bit. You have the first, if you're lucky, you have where you're going, this is funny. I got to do this. And now you're crafting it. And for a little while, it's going to go, I don't know if we're supposed to be cussing or not, but it's going to look like poop. And when it looks like poop, that's not the moment to get rid of it. That's the moment to keep it and keep crafting even more, because now you're actually getting some of those little, the ums and the buts and the, you're getting those little things that are stopping you out of there. And then before you know it, what you're going to have will be a freaking diamond. And you'll be able to close your eyes, almost like what Phoebe was talking about on her gig, and tell that joke without having an audience laughing. And you'll know where the laughs are. You'll know where to pause. You'll know where to have your inflections. And when you watch yourself on stage, you'll be like, yep. And if the audience doesn't laugh, oh no, did I freeze?
You did.
I don't know my phone. Okay, anyways, you'll be able to, if the audience doesn't laugh, you won't say that it's a bad joke. You'll be like, oh, my delivery may have been off. Maybe I should have opened with this, but you'll know that your joke, which is your joke, is a joke, and nobody can take that from you. So I love that, man. Keep crafting, my man.
Well, guys, can I just say, we have absolutely crammed our 29-ish minutes. Like we've taken liberties with 29-ish minutes because we're now 29 minutes. Right? Yeah. But, guys, it's been an absolute fucking pleasure having you both on, and also to Phoebe, who we're sorry it dropped out at some point. I'd like to thank Michael for doing the art. Thank Dan Lythe for doing our brilliant sound. We've got the brilliant Mark Hines. Is that way?
Yeah.
Simply Courtney. And we had the brilliant Phoebe Prentice over there, but she's gone. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks so much for joining us on 20-ish minutes more. We'll see you all again next week.
That was great.